All right, welcome in to Total Bases. It's Thursday morning. I'm here with Tokyo Brandon, Brian Leonard, your go-to show on WagerTalk TV for free Major League Baseball picks. We are having some technical difficulties. It's not really us though. I think it's the software we use. So hop in the chat. As you can see, at least I can see it. Some of the video blinks out. Hop in the chat and let us know if that's doable. We still want to do a show regardless. But we want to know how annoying that is, because one thing the three of us are good at is talking baseball. One thing the three of us know nothing about is how to fix a tech issue. So so just let us know. I got my baseball cap on. I'm going to go see some live baseball this afternoon. It's going to be a beautiful day out here in central New York. So I'm going to head out to Rochester for some AAA ball. Jacksonville is in town. So I'm going to go see Jacksonville, the Jumbo Shrimp, Brian Leonard, take on the Rochester Red Wings. The kid I'm excited to see is Brady House. He was a first rounder for the Nationals a couple years ago. My guess is he doesn't have many games at AAA left. I think he's probably got a game or two left at AAA, and I think he's going to get the call. The reason I think he's going to get called up is this Nationals team needs help desperately against left-handed pitching. And this will be the first game we talk about today, but we kind of saw it again last night. This lineup is set up to face right-handed pitching. They don't seem to have an answer for a lefty. They made David Peterson look like prime Tom Glavine last night. 9 innings, didn't walk anyone. That was as effortless of how many pitches did he throw? Well, 106, but still an effortless, complete game for David Peterson. Brady House is a big right-handed bat. He'll help them, but he's not there right now. That being said, they get a righty today, but it's a good one in Kodai Senga. So this will be, we'll start here. We're going to get to all the games. There's only 8 of them. So let's start. First one on the board, Nats, Mets, Senga, Mike Soroka. What do you got?
I just want to touch on, I'm reading the comments. Most people aren't having a problem, but there is a few others that have. Unfortunately, we are having the problem on our end. So we may not sync up as well, because we might be talking over each other because we don't know what's going on our end. And I do apologize for that. So we're going to get to the Mets game. All right, we've got Soroka and Senga. There's a lot of overall today. There's a lot of games. There's only eight games, but a lot of these games have higher spreads. A lot of big money lines here. So I'm seeing 1, 2, 3. 4 of the games have 200 or higher. So it's going to be a tougher day. We're going to have to find other ways to get to some of these favorites who look like the way to go. San Francisco worked for us yesterday. I too, Brandon had them as a play. I too had them as a play, and that was a hell of a finish. But we'll do the best we can with these. Right now, Senga's opening up. We're looking at about a 215 favorite here. Total is 8. We get to the Soroka situation, and I'm the guy that likes Soroka. It's been a situation where I've watched him this year, and his StatCast numbers are a lot of red, but his actual numbers have not been. In fact, if you take a look at his ERA, 4.86, but his expected ERA is 2.99. This is a guy who last year, if you remember last year, he had no control at all. His walk rate was 12.7%. Now it's 4.6%. He's got that under control. He's been, if you followed his career, he's always been a pitcher with a lot of talent that can't stay healthy. And now in his age 27 season, it looks to be healthy. So this is a guy I'm looking to play on, especially in the underdog role. His whip is a 1.11, which is very good. His walk rate, as I mentioned, 93rd percentile, barrel rate 94th percentile, ground ball rate 84th percentile. So you're getting a guy here that doesn't put on extra people on base. He doesn't let the other teams square him up very well. And he's a very good ground ball pitcher, so he doesn't give up a lot of home runs. That, to me, is the perfect guy we want to back as an underdog. Kodai Senga, the guy's just been terrific all season long, but his numbers are better than what the actual output is. His ERA is 1.59, expected ERA 3.31. Still an excellent number, but he's been a little bit lucky. His whip is 1.18. When you take a look at his StatCast page, he does have problems with walks. This is the same thing that happened in 2023. He had an 11.1 walk rate. Last year in limited time, he was down to 5, but he got hurt, and so he missed a lot of the season. This year is back up to 10.9. So he does walk people. That's his weakness. He doesn't have a lot of extension on the 40th percentile, so the other team gets more time to see his pitches. And while he's good, his best numbers are it's in the 75th percentile in expected batting average, 73rd in barrel percentage. So if I'm looking at this game and I'm not looking at the actual numbers the guys are putting up, but more the expected numbers, it looks like a bargain today when I'm looking at Soroka in this game. So we'll have to take a look at what the bullpens have done lately. Washington bullpen, let's see, they probably haven't used their best players very now. That on Tuesday they used them, but they usually only use them when they're winning. So they've only pitched the best 4 pitchers they've got. In fact, all just about everybody's only pitched once in the last 3 days. So the bullpen looks really good here. The Mets, on the other hand, let's take a look at that one. And we see the Mets did not use the bullpen yesterday with the perfect game, or excuse me, not the perfect game, but the complete game. On Tuesday they were used, so they're very fresh. So both bullpens are fresh today. I like both starters. So do we take a look at the under? I could see some 8.5s out there right now. This is a pretty good pitcher's ballpark. Or do we play Soroka in the first half? Because obviously the Mets bullpen is better than Washington. 2 ways to take a look at this. I'm going to give it more of a look while these two guys are talking. And I may have my play on the parlay in this game, but we'll go to you, Tokyo. What do you think?
So I like to look at pitcher versus batter matchups more than sides and totals, but I do sides and totals as well. But Kodai Senga is having a great season. I've talked about this on shows before, but when Japanese pitchers come into their second year, they start to hit the ground running a little more than in their first year. And I know this is not Kodai Senga's second year, but he's been injured. He's been out. So technically, I consider this his second year. He's pitching really well, but there's one thing we can take advantage of in the books here. If you notice, he's pitching well, but he's walking a lot of guys, and he's actually on my chronic walker list. If you take a look at his last few starts, he's walked 2, 2, 4, 3, 2, 5, 3. He's never finished a start in his last 6 walking less than 2 guys. His walk prop is 1.5, and I think over would be a great bet on that. To take it even further, against this team, against these batters in his short, brief Major League Baseball career, he has 9 walks and 38 at bats. If you take into consideration other factors, my numbers bring that to a projection of about 4 walks per start against this team. So, I like the walks over prop for Senga. I know he's good. I would also like a Mets team total over, but I checked the Mets team total over and it was 4.5. And like I've said before, 4.5, unless you're the Mets playing in Colorado or in Mexico, 4.5 is tough. But I'm tempted to take it. I might even alt it to 3.5, but Mets team total or Senga's walkover is where I would go on this one.
The splits are so drastic. Actually, they're not as drastic as I think they're probably going to be as the season progresses. But for how bad the Nationals look against left-handed pitching, because their lineup is just not set up to hit left-handed pitching, they've been like equally as impressive at times against right-handed pitching. So it's just a team that has pretty drastic splits because they're just very, a week ago they were batting 1 through 9 left-handed hitters against a right-handed pitcher. So that's great. But then, you go to face a lefty, it's only a couple switch hitters and they don't really have many like really solid platoon guys. And that's why you see stuff like last night where David Peterson just coasts to a 9-inning shutout. That being said, like we've talked about this, Tokyo Brandon's made this point a couple of times. The Nats are not a team that the books don't really respect this team a ton. They're typically value on a somewhat regular basis. So when the Nationals are up against a right-handed pitcher, the only way I could look to play would be the Nationals in some capacity. Here you get the road team plus 1.5. It's a good righty in Senga, but I still think there's value on the Nats here. Soroka, now that he's healthy, I think has been better than the market gives him credit for. He's got a lot baked in from those years where he was coming off injury, fighting through injury. He's a much better pitcher than he was with the White Sox or in those last couple of that stint toward the end of his run with the Braves where he was just hurt. So Nationals plus 1.5. Listen, there's only 8 games today. Nationals plus 1.5 is one of the better looking ones on this slate, in my opinion. I'll have to decide if I can stomach going against Senga at a Mets team that I'm very high on long term, but this matchup feels good for the Nats. All right, let's move on. We can't go any further without bringing up the great parlay win last night. That's back-to-back on the week for us. Back-to-back 3-teamers. How about Brian Leonard? Brian Leonard's at the line. He's like Peyton Manning at the line of scrimmage, changing the play last second. He's like, nope, not going to go White Sox. We're going to change it to the over. Goes over by a mile. And then TB gets the come from behind win with the Giants, which I was talking to these guys off air. Not that crazy, in my opinion, that they came back because we talked about the Rockies using all their good bullpen arms the day before. So you would kind of think that was going to happen at some point. So let's go to my leg of the parlay, the Orioles. Everyone in the chat, Brian and Tokyo Brandon, expected me to show up and gloat about the Orioles call. I'm not a gloater. I just, that's not my style. I'm going to come on. And the other thing is, I'm not a Tigers hater at all. Like, I don't hate it has nothing. I could care less. I actually really like that Tigers team. I love that ballpark. I like the city of Detroit. That's where our home office is. I have no problem with the Tigers whatsoever. It's just they've played themselves into this position where they're going to be overvalued in the market. Now, someone in the chat, I don't know if Sean is here today. Sean, our guy that's always talking Tigers, I haven't seen him pop up yet, but it was either him or someone in the chat last week made a really good point. Tariq Skubal off a Tigers loss has an insane record. It's like 19-1. The Tigers win rate when Skubal pitches off of a Tigers loss is crazy. Dean Kramer's not a guy that I care for a whole lot. Are the Tigers gonna run that record up again with Skubal on the mound coming off a loss? We'll start with Brian Leonard.
We're looking at a line in this one. Detroit's roughly 185. It's pretty varied. You can get as low as 171 right here in Vegas on betting them. But obviously, as we've spoken in the past, Vegas is sports books do not open up for an hour and 45 minutes. So the only thing you can bet is the kiosks, and you can't get as much in on the kiosk. So problems of living in Las Vegas, the sports betting capital of the world. Yeah, it was that way when I moved here 30 years ago. Not anymore. Total in this game is 8. I'm with you. We don't have. I mean, we have teams we prefer to win. I'm from Cleveland. I'd like them to win, but if you watched any of these videos that we've done for Cleveland, I'm more of a negative Cleveland guy than I am positive because I just don't. I bet with my brain, not with my heart, and you cannot simply say this is the best team in baseball, we're going to bet it every day, that's not the way to make money. And I think most people realize that. And we do not hate teams. One day we were on one team, the next day we're against that team. That's just the way it is in sports betting. You've got to think that way. Okay, getting back to the Detroit game. We're looking at Skubal. His numbers obviously beyond terrific. Considering he did not perform well in his first two starts of the season, he's still in the 100th percentile of pitching run value, off-speed run value, and walk rate. The guy's just, when he's on, he's really tough to go against, and I don't blame anybody. He's had an ERA. This is the third year in a row he's had an ERA under 3. You don't find that in Major League Baseball very often. 2.16 ERA, 2.36 expected ERA, 0.82 whip. His walk rate on the season, 2.2%. This is a guy who is not going to give up. He's not going to give you the free passes. You're going to battle when you're going against Skubal. Baltimore is hitting much better, as Trigg pointed out the other day. He thought they were coming on, and they have. This has been a team that is finally starting to play up to their talent level a little bit, but still, with Dean Kramer on the mound, it's not the guy I'm looking to back. Unfortunately, I've been against him more often than not. 4.98 ERA, 4.31 expected, slightly better. 1.41 whip, and that's the concern here. He doesn't whiff anybody, which means he can't get anybody to swing and miss. He's in the 7th percentile. Strikeout rate only in the 15th percentile. Walk rate in the 80th percentile. His walk rate is 6.0. His strikeout rate 16.8. 10.8 is just not going to get it done for a guy we're looking to try to back. He gives up a lot of hits, and barrel rate's not bad, so he doesn't get a lot of hard hits. His hard hit rate is actually in 74th percentile. He's been pretty good at that, but he puts a lot of guys on base. He gives up a lot of singles. Not the kind of guy we want. Yes, I would prefer to play Detroit here, but you've got a team in Detroit that is a popular team that has their best pitcher, probably the best pitcher in baseball right now on the mound, and going against Baltimore here. It's tough to lay this kind of number on the road with Skubal. That said, if you are going to play this game, I would find a way to play on Detroit.
So I like to kind of go against the grain and look at matchups here. Kremer, not the best pitcher in the world, as Brian mentioned, but if you look at his home numbers, they're really good at home. Granted, it's a small sample size of what does he have? 24 innings or so at home. 24 innings. He's got a 2.25 ERA, and against these Tiger batters, he's only averaging 2.1 earned runs per start, only 2 walks per start, and 4 strikeouts per start. So seems decent enough. The Tigers' bats not exactly crushing it right now. I have them ranked 17 right now, where I have the Orioles ranked 23, but this is very current form weighted. Both bullpens, I have them top 10. Baltimore's bullpen performing really well right now. Obviously, Skubal is amazing. On the curve of 30, I have him ranked number 3 in all of MLB. What's even more amazing is his, like Brian mentioned, his balls to strikeout ratio. He's only walking 5% of the batters he strikes out. That's incredible, because normal is between 30 and 40%. So amazing. Skubal, you can pretty much bank on him not giving up a lot of runs here. But I kind of think Kremer's not going to give up a lot of runs either. And I don't think these bullpens are going to give up a lot of runs either. I like an under in this game, actually.
Yeah. So
as a matter of fact, I'm going to make that my parlay leg. I'll look at the number. I'll check the number while you're talking, Adam.
And just to clarify, you're looking full game under, Tokyo Brandon?
Correct, but let me get the number. Yeah, I think it shouldn't be 8.5. Yeah, it's 8.
I think it's under 8 right now, and it's
yeah.
I think Brian will check the odds screen. I think you can get an under 8, like minus 105,
plus 102.
Yeah, I'm not seeing any pluses, but am seeing it like minus 103 or so.
Yeah, we'll call it
Because-
minus 105. That
Yeah,
seems
sure.
between even money and minus 105. Yeah, I
Underrated.
can't argue with that. I did mention the Orioles are hitting better, but they hit right-handed pitching better. That was part of my handicap last night, was that they were going to be able to handle, or they were going to kind of wait. And the thing is, like, I'll go back to my handicap yesterday. They really didn't hit Casey. I mean, they hit him. They couldn't really cash in off of him. I thought they would have like blown him up a little bit better than they did. All those runs came in like one inning to kind of blow the game open, but still, they're hitting better collectively. I think they match up better with right-handed pitching. I'll go to Ethan's comment for a second. Been a minute since the Tigers were at a $2 favorite with Skubal on the mound. This is getting down to the minus 180 range. If that continues to drop, I would say Tigers with Skubal are probably value at a right around minus 180. I'd like, kind of going back to what we talked about with the Giants yesterday. Now, I don't like it nearly as much. Like, Giants being like, what were they, like minus 195 against the Rockies in that spot? In my opinion, a much better, more playable scenario than Tigers minus 180, even though that it's Skubal. But again, you're talking 8-game slate. You're trying to find something to play. I wouldn't mind finding a way to use the Tigers, or just, playing smaller at minus 180. That stat is glaring. The Tigers and how good they've been when Skubal pitches off a loss. The reason for that, in my opinion, is typically when you lose, you're not like cooking the top bullpen arms. So that means when Skubal pitches off a loss, he's going to probably give you 7 good innings, because you could pretty much set your watch to that at this point, because he pretty much does it every start. And then you're going to have a couple of the top bullpen guys. So I think that I think if you think that way, it suggests the Tigers are going to be in good shape today, because he's probably going to outpitch Kramer. And Tokyo Brandon's under is probably live if you're going Skubal to the top bullpen arms. So no play here for me, but that's kind of how I see it. Go ahead, Brian.
Yeah, G Hurt, who is a valuable part of our guys in the chat, he mentions he thought Kramer pitched in the bullpen recently. He did not. Everything's been all starts. So I don't know if I can't imagine they tried to warm him up in the bullpen for something. So yeah, that's not a concern here.
See, and I want to put so Tokyo Brandon quoted the -1 price. Listen, -1, -150 is a bad bet. You're better off. You are much better off just playing the -180, even if you have to play to win a little bit less. Like, that's a terrible bet to lay -1 for -150 when you could just have the win for -180. I talked about this in the chat comment on yesterday's YouTube show a little bit. The books that offer these -1s, almost 19 times out of 20 are giving you a bad number, a bad vig on the -1. That's just how they're pricing it. Every once in a while, you get a good one. It's almost always not the best bet. In this case, I would say -1, -150 is a terrible bet when you can just have -180 on the money line.
I use a website called ballparkpal.com, and they have a computer program that tells you the chances of teams winning by a certain amount. The Tigers, the value of one winning by 1 is pretty crazy, especially in a low scoring game. So they're paying you 50, or you're getting like a 50-cent bargain on it, but in reality, it's not worth it. So just keep that thing in mind. I think this charge is a charge. You've got to pay for it, but they may have something that is for free. But it's a computer simulation of the games, and they do that a lot. And if it's saying that the Tigers winning by 1 has got a pretty good chance, much better chance than winning by 2 or 3, and usually in baseball, you win by 1 a lot more than any other number. So yes, I wouldn't keep in mind, if you're doing that, you are pushing a bet that you would have won. It's not worth the 50 cents. It's worth more than that.
Since there's only 8 games, we can stay on this topic for a second, because Duffel asks, when is a good time to use the -1? I'm going to pull up Jack Falk's answer right here because he has nailed it. You can make yourself a -1. The way to do it is to shop the money line and shop the run line. You don't want to disagree with me here on this because it's math, and it's math. It has nothing to do with your opinion. This is just a math problem. Okay. If you shop the money line and shop the run line, and you could get, let's say you can get your -1 in this case down to like -120 juice, then yeah, you can totally justify doing that. But -1 and money line, I saw your comment, they're not the same thing at all. And if you're only getting 30 cents extra value, that's a bad bet. It just is. Get anyone that knows the math of betting on here, and they will agree with you.
Yeah, I agree.
Play your -1s.
Also, that's the reason why I don't like parlays, because you have to have, and I've said this before, and I apologize, you have to have the best line at the same sports book at the exact same time on all 3 of your legs. You're better off just getting 10 different sports books. You know, these guys are out there in states now that they have a lot of options. So you're able to do that. Just play the straight bets. Don't worry about the parlays. And I say this after we've hit 2 3-legged parlays, but that's for mathematical. That's what you do.
I know Fezzik works at a competitor. I probably am not supposed to like bring him up on the show, but I talk to him a lot. I know Brian's good friends with him. I think he's an absolute genius, and especially when it comes to the math, he would have this math off the top of his head in 2 seconds, and he'd tell you the exact time when you could play it. So anyway,
Stacey nails it. Fez would tell you there's a 15% difference. So thank you, Stacey.
And he'll be right off the top of his head.
Yeah, he is wrong, and he will admit that when he is wrong. He's a strong personality, and I even told Steve I said the first time I met you, I thought you were an asshole, and he said, everybody tells me that. So, but he's very smart, and I've learned a lot from him over the years.
I'd be willing to bet that I win more than him.
I'm not saying you don't. I'm just saying
anyway,
from a mathematical standpoint, you could win more if you took math into it.
Definitely. Yeah. I mean, it's a good discussion, because I feel like a lot of people, I feel like this doesn't get talked about enough. And that's something that, you know, I just think it's a good discussion, and it's a lighter day. We only have 6 more games on the slate, not the best slate. So it's good to get some just general betting talk into the show every once in a while. Let's move on though. Let's move on to a different game. We will lock in a parlay when it's all said and done. But we're probably going to get to all of them. So I'm just going to start grabbing games at random here.
Take them in the order so I know which ones to prepare for.
All right, you know what? Let's do this. Let's just go down. We're just going to go down the board today, because I've already done the first 2 games on 2 of the. Oh no, I didn't. Tigers is a night game. All right. Well, let's just go down. I get people yell at me. They say go in order. You know, we got day games, so I'm gonna appease the people that want day, right in order, because we're probably gonna get to them all. Rangers Twins. My guy Patrick Corbin on the mound for the Rangers, but it's a road game. It's the Twins. This is a puzzling one, so I'm not even going to say any more on this. People are like, Triggs, stop talking. You've hit your quota for the show. It's over to Brian Leonard, Rangers Tigers.
Let's take a look at this number here. We're looking in the American League section of the schedule. We're looking at Corbin is a lefty going against Minnesota's Ober. Minnesota's about 160, and we're looking at a total of 8.5. Minnesota against lefties on the season, if I can get to that chart. What did I do with it? All right, I'll look it up later. But anyway, we've got Corbin, who has some red in his StatCast page. He's actually having a very good season. I'm very happy for him to get out of Colorado and Washington, 2 places that are really good hitting parks, and now he's in Texas, which is more of a pitching park in many times, especially the way this Texas team has hit this year. But we've got a 3.52 ERA, and we've got a 4.00 expected. 1.17 whip, and that's the big change for Corbin this year. Take a look at his whips the last 2 years. In 2024, it was 1.5. 2023, it's 1.48. Now it's 1.17. And you get a veteran pitcher who is now 35 years old. He's a lefty, and he's not giving up those free bases like he has in the past, and that's why he's had success. Now, as he ages, his fastball velocity is now in the 10th percentile, strikeout rate in the 18th percentile. So his walk rate is only 7.2%, but his strikeout rate is down to 17.3. Last year it was 18.2. So with a lot of these guys, and I talked about this with one of the guys yesterday, taking a little bit off, otherwise Lodolo, and he didn't perform well against Cleveland. And by the way, everybody's saying, quit talking about Cleveland. They suck. Well, yeah, overall, that's the team I'm looking to bet against. But anybody who sees the same handed pitcher 3 days in a row could figure somebody out. But yeah, Corbin's been pretty good, and there's value on Corbin based on how he has pitched the last couple of years. A lot of people aren't willing to put their money on him. Bailey Ober is a guy I like. Unfortunately, he's being a little overpriced. You've got a 3.78 ERA, 3.94 expected, 1.3 whip. His whip is much higher now than it has been the last couple of years. It was 1.00, 1.07. He's a fly ball pitcher. He's only in the 5th percentile of ground ball rate. So he does give up the long ball. He's got great extension, 98th percentile, chase rate, 95th percentile, walk rate, 89th percentile. But his strikeout rate is down to 25th percentile. Last year, and I point this out all the time, you want to find out if a guy's a good pitcher or not, strikeout minus walk rate. Last year, he was at 23.8. The year before, over 20. This year, 13.1. He's not been the same pitcher this year. Last year and this year, we've seen times where he has just gotten bombed. And if he doesn't have it, it's a major concern because of the situation that they're in. Looking at the weather report today, and there's not too many places that have weather problems, but in this game, the game is scheduled to start at 1:10 Eastern, 30% chance of rain. It gets up to 4 p.m. Eastern. It's at 83%. So this is one of those games where I think the umpires are going to be calling a lot more strikes on borderline pitches. Now, they get graded on that, but still, this is a game, and they're going to have a hard time getting it in with these starters going the full 5 innings. That is my concern here. So if you do like Ober over Corbin, you think that's a big edge in from a starting pitcher standpoint, these guys may only go 3 innings with this rain situation. So you don't have the same advantage with Ober as you would over Corbin. I'm finding a little bit of value here on Texas. Other than yesterday, the hitting seems to have come on a little bit. I prefer Texas a little bit in this game. Problem is, we don't know how long it's going to go. So even with 8 games, there's other games I prefer better. But keep that in mind when you have these games where they're supposed to rain and we don't know how long these starters are going to go. I don't want the better starter in that game, because if it's an hour delay, you're screwed. So I'm going to pass on this one.
Yeah, looking at this is one of those ones where you have to cover the team logos and cover the names, because Corbin's not an easy guy to ride with. If you looked at him in the last few seasons, Bailey Ober is a guy who I was pretty high on at the beginning of the season. He's tailing off a bit. I have Corbin ranked higher than Bailey Ober, so I didn't think I'd ever say those words, but it's true. And Texas's bullpen is lights out these days. Minnesota is slightly below average. Hitting is comparable. Texas, about a week ago, was one of the worst hitting teams in MLB. But this is the thing about baseball. That's why it's a marathon, is because teams go up, teams go down, and you got to catch them in the right spots. I mean, Colorado's going to win 25 games this season. If you can pick which 25 they're going to win, you can win a lot of money. So baseball is all about picking spots. And right now, I think the Twins are not as good as the Rangers right now. I have the Rangers ranked higher than them. Sometimes you got to cover the logos and cover the pitcher names. Both teams are hitting pretty well, but I like Texas's either team total or on the money line. I haven't played it yet because I don't know the numbers on the top of my head. I researched quite a bit for the show, but I didn't research this game very well. But Texas's team total, if it's 3.5, I would certainly consider an over on that. And I would consider Texas on the money line.
Texas is 3.5, basically -10.
Okay, thank you. I think that's a pretty decent bet. I might put it out.
Yeah, I'm still high on this Rangers team long term. I think they're going to play their way to be a team that's over 500, probably sooner than later. I believe coming into this game, they're 32-36. I don't know if they'll win here. It's the only way I would probably play it, but I do think that they continue to trend in the right direction. So they're really a team that I'm only looking to play on. They were horrifically bad offensively. I mean, they had some guys in career slumps, like the worst slump. You had Marcus Semien get off to the worst start of his career. Jock Peterson had an 0 for 40 at one point, like just insane slumps that can't get any worse. Corey Seager missed time. So all of those things, I think you can almost look at the Rangers and say that they're going to hit better. You can assume they will. Something I talked about a month ago, I said, they're kind of sitting on some relievers down at Round Rock. I felt like Round Rock about a month ago had the best bullpen in AAA. One of those guys, the one guy I had kind of circled there, is Cole Winn. Since they called him up, he hasn't given up a run. So to go to Tokyo Brandon's point, yeah, their bullpen has definitely been decent, and it's gotten better because they shuffled it around, brought up Winn. I think he's got 7 appearances where he hasn't even given up an earned run yet. So you go back to the beginning, or really all season, starting pitching, the Rangers still have to be in like the top 5. I mean, top 5, like that's one thing. Like where would this team be without their starting pitching, right? Like they're 32-36 and they've barely hit. The pitching has been excellent on a just going through the rotation. Next guy up. They're getting quality starts, and Corbin has been a contributor in that regard. So Rangers would be the way I'd look here. Plus money, if you want to take a flyer on an underdog today, I think this might be it. All right, let's continue on. What's the next one up here? Let's go. I think we've got another day game. I'm so used to going into the comments.
I think Giants Rockies is next.
Yeah,
Giants Rockies. Yeah.
Giants Rockies. Hey, we've got Birdsong, and then we have what I consider to be the worst pitcher, the worst starting pitcher that regularly starts games in Major League Baseball this year is Antonio Senzatella. Tokyo Brandon got our parlay home with the closing leg last night. Giants come from behind and win for the second night in a row. Brian Leonard, is there any way the Colorado Rockies win this game today?
Well, I talked about last games in a series and with teams. Saw a few games yesterday, which the teams come out and played well. And that was our main concern with the Colorado San Francisco yesterday, is the way they've been blown out and the way they come back. And, you had made a great point on yesterday's show about normally a team gets blown out, they come out and show some heart, and you say, what kind of heart do they have left? You mentioned some of the players on the team. They were just so downtrodden. And those same players got into yesterday's game, and then they blew it again. So I am normally a contrarian type of person, but I will not be on the Colorado Rockies in this game. The good news for Colorado is they don't get to play a lefty. Now, one in 19 versus left-handed starters on the season. Birdsong's the guy who I believe he pitched here last year or one other time, and he did very well. That could be an aberration. I wouldn't count on that again. That said, there's no way I would play Senzatella here. Birdsong on the season, 2.55 ERA, 3.73 expected, 1.28 WHIP. He's got pretty decent numbers, but he's not as good as a 2.55 ERA. Ground ball percentage, 22%, so he does give up some fly balls. This is not a good place to give up fly balls. Hard hit rate, 30th percentile. So Colorado could get to them for some runs in this one, but I know that San Francisco, if they come with their any type of after those 2 games that they played, if they're not all burned out from partying from the last 2 days, they can have success against Sensatella. 6.68 ERA. 6.68 ERA, even worse. Expected ERA, 7.11. Here is his expected ERAs the last 3 seasons. I think he's got naked pictures of the owner. His expected ERA, 7.11. Last year, 9.08. Year before, 10.68. Granted, those are situations where he didn't pitch as often because he was hurt. Well, there was a reason why he didn't pitch often, because he wasn't any good. You take a look at his on the StatCast page. The 2 things he does well: ground ball percentage, 78th percentile; his walk percentage, 69th percentile. Everything else basically is in the bottom 25%. Expected ERA, 2nd%. Expected batting average, 1st%. Whiff percent, 4th%. Strikeout rate, 1st%. His strikeout to walk rate on the season is 4.0. Last year, it was negative 1.8. Why is this guy in the major leagues? They just throw him out there and let him get pounded. And the worst part for Colorado is that bullpen does not have a prayer today. So you're going to get Sensatella going late with a bullpen that's really beat up, and they're not going to be able to play. This is one of those games. If San Francisco, and it's an early game, they might just want to get the hell out of there. But if you can play San Francisco's team totals on an over and get some nice plus money, hey, this is the kind of game you want to do that on. The total is 11. If you get San Francisco and get them, let's say they score 8 runs or whatever in this game, that's going to be a nice payoff. It's worth the chance here. We've already seen what they've been able to do offensively here in Colorado. And keep in mind, before they came to Colorado, the Giants were not hitting at all. So hey, they may try to do something where they go out there and just build up their batting average and all their stats. At the end of the year, it doesn't matter. They look at it and they see what they have, and they can use that for the contract. They're not going to say, "Oh, well, that happened in Colorado." So that's one way to play this one, but do not play Colorado. They could win this game 10-0, and it's probably a bad bet.
Brian mentioned 2 things that Sensatella does well. I'll tell you one thing he doesn't do well: pitch. So, Steve Duke, Birdsong scares you. Really? Sensatella is 1-10 with a 6+ ERA, and he doesn't scare you. That's amazing. Yeah, I agree that Birdsong might not be as good as his numbers, but I still have him ranked in the top 1/3 of MLB pitchers, and that should be good enough to get the job done here. I have both of these teams ranked really low in hitting, but you can throw pretty much all your rankings out the window when you're playing a team like Colorado with a guy like Sensatella on the mound. Both bullpens are pretty mediocre in current form. No other way you could play this. The Rockies are 6-27 at home, and that's considered good. Some people say, "Oh, they're good at home. 6-27 is good at home, huh?" Okay. With a 1-10 pitcher on the mound, 6-27 at home. Like I said earlier, in Major League Baseball, even the worst teams are going to win a certain percentage of their games. Colorado's winning 1 out of every 6 games right now. So you think tomorrow's going to be that 1 in 6 games? I don't. Anyways, San Francisco, right now they're -210 on the money line. Great value, in my opinion. Some people say I don't play -210s. Well, if someone guaranteed you, nothing's a guarantee, but if someone had money here and said, "Here, I'll give you this if you bet this at -210," most people would take it. So I'm going to take it here. Easy as that. Go ahead, Brian.
I just got a quick question for the chat. If last year's Chicago White Sox team was visiting this year's Colorado team, your number 3 starters for each team, so it's just your average guy, what would the line be in that game? Go ahead, Trick.
I think Sensatella is still pitching because he's kind of a company guy. Like the Rockies, listen, the Rockies, the way they run their organization, is they're I think winning is secondary. They run a profitable that team is profitable. They're all the stands are always full at Coors Field. It's they run it like a business, and I think they're just loyal to this guy. They drafted him as a undrafted free agent. They didn't draft him. They signed him back in 2012. He's been in the organization since. He's one of the only holdovers from those Rockies playoff teams of about 7-8 years ago. So I think that management just looks and says, at least he's going to go out. He's a ground ball pitcher at Coors Field. He's probably going to get crushed, but he's going to give us 5 innings. Right now, like with how bad this team is, that's kind of good enough, and that's why he's still in the rotation. As far as Hayden Birdsong's concerned, he had 2 starts last year against this Rockies team very early in his career. After he had struggled in the early going, he came out 20 strikeouts in 11 innings in those 2 starts. He won them both. I think he had a relief appearance earlier this year, but hasn't faced them as a starter yet. Birdsong probably, I wouldn't be surprised. One of those was at Coors. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if Birdsong dominates them again. I can't disagree with TB. -210 Giants. It does really seem that easy. I would find a way to play the Giants or find another game. That's how I look at it. I
think Senzatella might have pictures of the owner's wife in a compromising position.
That's what I mentioned.
Like I said,
he's got pictures of something going on.
But it's so sad because that's such a great sports city, Broncos, Avalanche. They got great sports town. But
yeah, in fact, somebody mentioned the every other team's fans travel there. If you watch the last 2 games in Colorado with the Giants, and I didn't even think the Giants fans traveled that well. It looks like a Giants home game.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, it's the Rockies fans deserve better. Like, that's a good, like TV said, that's a good fan base. Denver's a great sports city. They support the hell out of the Broncos and the Nuggets. Avalanche have a great following. The Rockies do have a fan base. Yeah. They have a fan base. Like, it's probably one of the bigger fan bases, actually, when you consider it, like, compared to the rest of the league. But management just has not shown to care much about winning. You get they care about the game day experience. You'll go to Coors Field, have a fantastic time. Awesome stadium. It's incredible. But they just don't seem to care about winning. And I've actually talked about it to a player that's played in the organization that echoed all of those same sentiments. So that's why I think Senzatella continues to get run out. And as long as they're going to do that, you can probably look to bet against them. You're probably going to make a few dollars doing so. All right, let's continue on. We've got about 12 minutes left. A couple games we haven't talked about yet.
Goodwin's actually hitting well, though. Goodwin's actually hitting well.
Oh, yeah, he's been a big part of their offense.
Sorry, go ahead, Adam. I think we got Yankees Royals.
Yeah, let's go to Yankees Royals. I mean, the Yankees, they just keep cooking. They are playing tremendous ball at this point. Another win last night. We kind of touched on that on last night's show. That being said, every time Will Warren comes up in the rotation, my gut says to play against him, although he's definitely been better the last couple, I'd say the last month or so. Brian Leonard, are you tempted to play against the Yankees here? That price is getting up there a little bit, in my opinion.
It is. I forgot to mention this yesterday with the Royals. They've been moving their starting pitchers up and down, back and forth, and the pitchers are a creature of habit. It hurt Bubic yesterday, I believe, and I ended up betting the Yankees. But, I faded Bubic because of that. And Lugo is another guy that may be in that same similar situation here. The problem with Warren is he's very inconsistent. He's only 25, hasn't got a lot of innings in the majors. He's only got 80 innings so far for 2 seasons going today. So the variation is very high here. So you could get a great start or you could get a terrible start. And if you take a look at his StatCast page, and by the way, somebody had mentioned, are the higher numbers, higher percentages good or bad? Higher percentages are good. Higher percentages are red. The lower percentages are blue. If you ever go to that page on MLB.com, the StatCast page, and you'll be able to find that. It's called Baseball Savant. But his numbers are all over the place. You take a look at his hard hit rate, 3rd percentile. exit velocity, 9th percentile, but yet he's in the 87th percentile in strikeout rate extension, 81st percentile. Comes in with a 5.34 ERA, expected ERA 3.78. So he's pitching better than his record shows. His whip, 1.41. In fact, he's got a 1.55 career whip after 80 innings. This is a guy that just cannot keep people off base, which means that it's tough to bet on him. So I could fully understand that. We know we get out of Seth Lugo. This guy knows how to pitch. Problem is, this is not been his best season. If you take a look at his StatCast page, he's coming in with the 3.46 ERA. Yeah, that's pretty much where his career is, 3.38, but his expected ERA is 5.22. And if you take a look at the StatCast numbers, his walk rate is in the 64th percentile. Everything else is less than league average. Chase rate, 2nd percentile. Whiff rate, 9th percentile. The Yankees can hit him. And I think this is going to be, he's got a very good chance to be a higher scoring game. We're looking at a total of 9 in this one. The Yankees about a 143 favorite. If I was to play this one, I may play the Yankees team total over. Current team total in this game would be 4.5 for the Yankees, over about 35. Yeah, I think the Yankees could score 5 runs here. That would be probably my best play on this game. We'll see how it works out. But, yeah, the Yankees' bats are hot. Kansas City's bats are not. And it's been that way all season long.
Same direction as Brian here. When I put the numbers together, Yankees have advantage in almost everything. But what's interesting is both of these teams are batting top 10, and both of the bullpens are ranked 22 or less in current form. And I have both starting pitchers on a curve of 30 ranked 22 or less, which means I have hitting ranked at 6 and I have pitching ranked at 23, which means over. It looks like it's a 9, little high. But anyway, you could take an over in this game, maybe alt it and parlay it with something. I don't know, but over would be the only way I would go. Here's another little tidbit from my numbers is Will Warren is definitely a chronic walker, and he walks a lot of people. He's one of the top 10 walking guys in MLB per 9. Kansas City Royals don't walk quite as much as like a team that walks 4 times a game or something like that, but they walk 2.5 times per game currently. And Will Warren's walk prop, I have it around 2.4. So if he's a 1.5, if it's a decent price, I would take it. Maybe a minus 150 or better for Will Warren over on 1.5 walks.
I forgot. I pulled up Matt Townsend's comment and I forgot about it, but it made me laugh. He goes, I can't even do math. I just figure if I bet a game, there's a 90% chance the other team is winning. I can tell you, we all know that feeling. That is a feeling if you do this long enough that you will have at some point. But we're here to try to make that 90% feel more like 50-50, because that's kind of what every game should feel like. Coin flip. That's essentially what sports betting is trying to be on the right side of that 50%. But let me get back to this game. I'm going to use Royals plus 1.5 for the parlay. I'm going to go with a little. I'm going to play the mental game here a little bit. The Yankees are headed to Fenway after today. They've already taken the first 2 games of this series. They just dropped 2 of 3 to the Red Sox last weekend. If they were ever going to give a guy a day off, it's probably here on the road. Teams like to give regulars a day off every once in a while, but like when you're forking money over for those Yankees tickets, they're less inclined to do it at home. I feel like even though this is a night game before the big series at Fenway, you've already kind of easily taken the first 2 games of this series. It seems like a spot where maybe the Yankees are just not totally locked in. Maybe they're more locked in on the big series this weekend. But even if that's the case, let's say the Yankees show up full force. I don't know that Warren gets them a win by more than a run here. Going back to what you guys said, inconsistent. This is a guy that if Luis Heel wasn't hurt, if Garrett Cole wasn't hurt, he'd probably be having a really nice season for the Scranton Wilkes-Barre Rail Riders this year. That's where he would probably be. He'd probably be having a great season, and would be on his way to like breaking into the bigs at some point. He's been doing it at the big league level. He's just not, like, in my opinion, like fully like big league consistent yet. So he can't be laying this kind of number, in my opinion, because if you get the Will Warren that's going to give up some offense, the Royals are going to be right in this game. The one thing you do know about Lugo, he's one of these veteran guys. We've kind of talked about it on the show. He's going to go out and give you a professional start. I think he pitched into the 7th inning earlier this year against the Yankees, was pretty good. I'm going to ask him to be good enough again here. So my parlay leg is going to be Royals plus 1.5. I think they hang around. They might even win. If not, maybe we'll get a 1-run loss and it'll get there that way. Okay, let's continue on. Cubs Pirates. We've got a couple games left. Actually, I realize what time it is. Brian, do you know what you want to use for the parlay yet?
I do. Before I get to that, I want to go to the Brewers game. People are asking about Mizrachi. You follow him. You're a minor league guy. I also want to listen to your breakdown of that. So let's talk about the Brewers game.
All right, yeah, Mizrachi has been. So let me get out my trusty paper. Okay, I handwrite my minor league ratings out daily. I update them daily. Bet Minor League Baseball, and the guy that's right here and has been in the top spot for minor league starting pitching all year by margin, has never left that spot, is Mizrachi. He's the best starter in minor league baseball right now. The guy throws 103. He'll top out. You'll see him throwing 102, 103. It's very impressive. With that being said, I think, like, Brian, 15 years ago, you had a guy come up, throw 103, he'd be unhittable. You know what I'm saying? Like, he would be taking this league over, taking it by storm. Now,
Strasburg.
all these, but the thing is, the game has changed. All these guys can handle velo in some capacity.
Everyone's Strasburg.
I felt like his last couple starts at AAA, guys were having decent at-bats against him, like for the most part. He didn't get hit. He didn't get, like, there was one start where he did get into some command issues, started walking guys. I guess the point is, I'm interested to see, like, what he does against what I consider to be a pretty solid big league lineup. Again, you're going to see him light up that radar gun. It's going to be fun to watch, but I'm just not sure that I expect him to come out and dominate the Cardinals. It's going to be interesting to watch. Like, he's been very good at AAA, but against big league hitters, especially if they can figure out when that fastball is coming, I think he'll have a decent start. I don't think he's going to get crushed by any means. But is he going to outpitch Sonny Gray, and is he going to beat the Cardinals? Not really sure. That's kind of my assessment here. I'll be watching closely, but I've seen enough cracks at times at AAA where I don't know that he comes out and just deals against the Cardinals, and you're only getting plus 110. So probably a game I'll pass on.
Yeah, I'm in agreement. You can get up to 124 right now on it. So I was afraid money would come in on him, but it's actually coming in on the Cardinals. I've talked many times about young lefties that people haven't seen, and I like to ride them. We've seen a lot of young righties come up the last few years that have been highly touted, and they've struggled. This is a game I'm not going to get involved with, but it is a game I'm going to watch. This is a game that's probably the most important game from a viewing standpoint on the card today.
Yeah, I'm not going to play this one either, so I'll make it really short. There's an X factor in a pitcher who has no MLB experience. Sonny Gray has pretty bad numbers on the road, actually, despite his 7-1 record. So I'm staying off it.
So I want to just touch on his last two minor league starts. The most recent one was impressive, but it was against Gwinnett, a team that they just have no offense. It's one of the worst offenses in minor league baseball. So I'll go back to the one prior. He walked 6 batters. And, like, that's the thing. Like, that's the concern for me, is he's at the big league level now. He's looking up there, and it's recognizable name after recognizable name in a good Cardinals lineup. I'm worried that he starts to nibble, that he's like, he doesn't trust, you know what I mean? Like, if he gets to a point where he's not fully trusting his stuff, and now he's just trying to hit corners, and then he walks a few guys, it's you can't, like I've seen him do it at the minor league level a few times, and then he'll come back and he just like throws 103 and blows away some poor guy that would be hitting $120 at the big league level. There's no like flat spot in a big league lineup. So you put a couple guys on base and you're playing the Cardinals, and then it's like you're facing Nolan Arenado or something. And like that's my concern. That's why I'm not like rushing to back him here, even though the stuff is very impressive. All right, Brian Leonard, what's your parlay leg?
Yeah, we're going to get back to the first game we discussed. I like Soroka going for Washington. I'm able to get him in the first 5 innings at plus a half a run at plus money. So I'll take Washington first half of the game plus a half a run at plus 115. And I think that's a pretty good bet. Hopefully we get I'll take a shutout 0-0 at the end of 5 innings, and that'll work out well.
Brian, can you double check the odds screen and see what the market price is right now for Royals plus 1.5? I should have asked you earlier.
Royals plus 1.5. Okay.
If you're new to the show, Brian is our numbers guy. I'm the timekeeper, and Adam is the host. We kind of split our responsibilities.
And you guys are the ones that yell at us.
Brian's kind of our encyclopedia.
Kansas City, the spread plus 1.5 is roughly minus 129.
All right, yeah, that's about what I'm seeing it at as well. So yeah, okay. So parlay is going to come out in the plus 630 to plus 640 range, kind of depending on what a couple of those are. That's solid though. Over 6-1 on a parlay. We've hit back to back, so let's do it again.
Can you recite the legs one more time for people who weren't?
I absolutely will. That's how we'll end the show every day. So the parlay 3-teamer, we're going for a third straight 3-teamer. Some say it can't be done, but I think we've got one in us again. We're getting the timely hits in these this week. Kind of some payback for like past weeks when we had that like one that came down to the Marlins and they had a 6-0 lead, couldn't get that home. This week we're getting the timely hits. Hopefully it continues to happen again. Brian Leonard's going to start us off today. Nationals first 5 plus a half a run, and that should be a plus money leg plus 115. Then we've got Tokyo Brandon. Tigers Orioles under 8 should be in the even money to minus 105 range. And then I've got the Royals plus 1.5 minus 135 full game spread against the Yankees. That's your 3-teamer today. Does anyone have anything to promote today? I don't have a play up yet. Not sure if I'll even play on this card, but if you guys have got something up, now's the time to let the viewers know.
I have a 4% out in MLB today. Unfortunately, I did not win my 5% yesterday. I got a little greedy. I thought the Reds could sweep, and they did not.
I was in agreement.
They did not. They were horrible.
I went 3-2 yesterday, and I had the Cleveland under in the first 5 or whatever. So that was my bigger play yesterday. So basically a break-even day. Still got the nice runs going. I think we're all on pretty good runs right now. I'm probably going to put up that Washington as a play. So save yourself $25 and not play that. If you see this an afternoon play, that's probably my only one there. So you get a reward already. You're already winning, and we haven't even had the games played yet.
Amen.
I think I've got 6 MLB wins in a row now after the Orioles yesterday. I have my eye on a play for tomorrow that I can just about guarantee will be 5%. Assuming I get the line and half the team doesn't get carted off the field today. And I'll probably wait for that. I don't know if I'll play any MLB today. If I do play something, it's probably the Royals, but just not a ton of value on this card. I'll probably mess around with some minor league stuff. Yesterday, 1-1 for me. Hit the MLB play. Lost with the Mud Hens. The Mud Hens keep taking my money this week. Can't seem to get on the right side of Toledo for whatever reason. But go ahead, TB.
The most frustrating thing is when I lose my 5% play and I win everything else and have a winning day, but I lost my 5%. That's the kind of day it was yesterday. Kind of sucks. But guys, do us a huge favor. We're trying to get some traction with our show. And if you like it, go to the replay, give us a comment and a like. It'll help us a lot, believe it or not. And it's free for you. Just take 2 seconds of your time and do that for us, please.
That's right. Like and subscribe. We appreciate it. Appreciate the live viewers. And we're back tomorrow morning, 9 a.m., last show of the week. Hopefully coming back with a third straight parlay win. We will see you guys tomorrow.